What's up, Dragon Ballers, and welcome back to Get the Mic, the only show where your host on the left, Al,
And your host on the right, Brock.
break down fiction for its mythological significance. Today we're talking about Dragon Ball. I believe this is episode 45.
Mm-hmm.
Goku and Friends in Tons of Danger.
No, 44.
44.
44.
Goku and Friends in Tons of Danger.
Goku and Friends and Tons of Danger.
Or called Master Thief Haski in the English. But that is what we're talking about. Now, before we get started with the episode, I do want to mention that we're going to try and start releasing more episodes, more content for you guys. So hopefully you enjoy it. I'm wanting to release, excuse me, I'm wanting to release 3 episodes a week. And I think we can kind of make that happen. So going forward, that little description on the side might change. But anyways, is there anything else before we continue, Brock?
No, I'm just excited to talk about this episode.
All right, let's get into it. So the last time on Dragon Ball, we saw Goku arrive in the city and he kind of got lost. He was trying to find his way, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw him find a police officer and he rides to Capsule Corp.
Well, to be mentioned, he did get mugged by a couple of thugs.
Oh, I guess that is significant. Yeah, those thugs.
And those thugs are returning in this episode. The situation that Goku finds himself whenever he arrives at the city, this just total misunderstanding of it's all chaos to him, right? He just can't navigate it, and so what helps him navigate it? Sort of this authoritative figure, right? This order person who essentially has his own little Kinto-un, right, that he rides around on. And so he's like, okay, I'm the order here in the chaos. Like, I can guide you through this sort of chaotic space that you can't navigate. So it's just a nice little I like how it thematically works that way, I should say.
And we talked about that last time briefly, because we did have the brief encounter with the police officer, but we're going to see some more of him.
Well, I just want to establish, though, that order in the center of chaos, right? Because that's what we're arriving at here.
But I think that's like Capsule Corp, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really the only significant place they ever go to in the city, in West City anyways.
Yeah, you could consider the city the actual environment for the Capsule Corp, right?
And so we get back, and it kind of continues off from the last time, or the prologue of this episode. And so we see Goku arrive at Bulma's house, and he's calling for her, just shouting at her, and
just literally yelling at the top
just
of his
yelling
lungs.
at the top of his lungs. Doesn't know where she is, and so the cops, like, I don't know if I can even trust you to that you are who you say you are. And Goku says something significant. He says, "You don't have to worry. I'm a good person, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And so in this, I think it starts off with him like banging on the intercom, right? He's trying to get the intercom to work. Yes,
smacking it.
And it tells. I think the police officer operates it, and it tells them that the school is in session, and so that Bulma's not there. Although, she does fly in right after this, and they reunite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they go into Capsule Corp together. And the officer kind of invites himself in as well. He wants his bike fixed by Dr. Brief.
Yeah, he considers it an honor to be able to meet Dr. Brief. And so we sort of get introduced to the fame of Dr. Brief, right? And what he represents here, kind of at the center of the city.
And it's gonna we're very close to discussing Dr. Brief himself. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and not bury the lead. So they go into Capsule Corp and they see robots and long hallways, and they see this inside garden, in a domed garden.
A domed walled garden
with lost creatures, animals that
Extinct
are
creatures.
taken care of by Dr. Brief. And so our heroes go through and they're looking for him, and they're Goku is amazed at not only the robots but the inside. He says, "I thought we were inside," right?
Right. He walks into like a cosmos, right? It's he's stepping into a microcosm. And so he's in a new exterior in a sense. It's like a principality or a kingdom, right? And so there's this the picture of I can't remember what century it is, but the man crawling toward the dome and reaching through it, and you see sort of the cosmos past that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that idea of the
Like
world, right?
13th century,
That
something like that.
pre-cosmogonic view of what the world was, right? The
Mhm.
dome in that sense. And that's why Capsule Corp and all these houses I think are domes because they're sort of tied into um that idea in a sense, right? Where this is right here at the center of it, capsules with the spheres and everything.
Mhm. Yes. And it's significant too that it's Dr. Brief that has uh this walled garden, right? So we see them find Dr. Brief, and he confuses Goku for the police officer and greets the police officer as if he was been Bulma's friend this whole time. Sun Kun, all that. Uh and then Bluma yells at him and things, but I think it's significant to say he rides a bike. His design himself, like he is a scientist, right? He has a affinity for animals. Um,
He has a companion cat,
he has a
right?
companion cat that just like stays on his shoulder at all times, and he smokes. He's smoking right now. So not only that, but he misses the idea that Goku, right? And I think that is a little bit telling in that regard of that judgmental force. But I'm interested to hear your analysis of Dr. Brief.
First of all, you have his immediate design that we see, right? So he's an he's kind of an eccentric looking character in the sense of Roshi, right? He's the slightly hunched, older, sort of wise old man archetype drawn out in a scientific way, right? And he has the cat companion directly next to his face on his shoulder, hanging on at all times, sort of paired with him, right? I think that that's significant because Bulma, I believe, is searching for the traits of the ideal masculine to be a potential mate, like as a father, right? As a potential father. And what she's recognizing in Yamcha and Puar is something that she sees as a positive masculine archetype, right?
Because of the companion cat, although,
The anima,
but
right?
it's not
The
really.
respect for and sort of ability to coexist with your awareness of your anima, sort of in a sense,
Right,
right?
but
Integration,
even here, Dr. Brief is able to demonstrate that he's beyond that and he's already integrated it, which is why
exactly.
Scratch is just a cat and he can't
Yeah,
talk.
exactly,
Right.
because it's fully.
He says, and I want to use an example there because he says, "Are you guys past the kissing stage yet?" Right, making light of
Mhm,
what Yamcha would not never be able to.
right.
Hmm. Well, maybe not never, but at this point, no.
At this stage in his character, right?
Yeah. And so, well, and I also want to mention or let's say, layer the analysis of Dr. Brief being the technological father, almost like a Prometheus type character.
Mhm.
Because he brings the capsules, right? He doesn't get punished. So I don't really want to make that comparison too much, but it's really more of like the technological father,
Mhm.
right? Or even the not the societal father, but that Yeah, I do want to say that the spirit of the father of the spirit of innovation, which I guess that's why I said Prometheus.
It's a creative, it's that flame of creation sort of thing, right?
Well, and that's what the capsules are, because the whole world functions on the invention of Doctor Brief, right?
hmm
Which is one of the boons, I think, as to why he is able to have this walled garden instantiated in his being, right? And he maintains it as well. I think that's partially why he's not punished, right? Let's say. But I guess to compare, I don't know if I would compare capsules to flame exactly.
Well, I think this is
It
a
is
good.
a technological vein though.
Well, what the reason that I make that comparison is the way that we can tie this back into our analysis back of the first sort of arc of the show, where we had talked about the analogy between Adam and Eve with Goku and Bulma. We talked about Bulma's cosmic father, and in the season we talked about him being the source of the capsules that she had, these being her inherited wisdom that she takes for
Well,
granted.
not just her, but that women have that inherent benefit
hmm
of the technology that their fathers have created,
Right, and then they have
such as safety. Like
yeah,
men, and literally
yeah,
to say in evolutionary psychology, men have invented things to further protect women.
right, and then there's a social dynamic relationship there, right? And that gets projected and manifested and represented as characters, right? Or
Mm.
as uh sometimes as gags, but usually as characters, right? It's there's so much about about Dr. Brief. Like first of all, you have that aspect where he's the source of those capsules. And what the capsules do, right, is they contain something. It's almost like carrying around a little seed, like a seed of gold, right? You carry around the seed of like pure potential with you. And then when you want to use it, it becomes its potential, right?
But it's not. It doesn't create anything though.
Right. It just holds something, right? You can grasp it. Like think of it symbolically. Being able to just have an entire house, you can just reach out and grasp the whole
Well,
thing and manifest it with your will, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Because yeah, I mean, what I
Mhm.
was gonna say is that it is the technological innovation, mobility of societal security that is
Mhm.
encapsulated within the capsule.
Right, right.
That's just like sums it all up, right?
I think yeah. It's just amazing because I think that it's also tied into this idea that we will definitely be getting to with the idea of containing something as an idea, right? Containing an
Yeah.
idea within a vessel, let's say, right?
Hmm.
Shrinking it down into a vessel and containing it with a name, right? Naming it and knowing it are sort of the same thing, right?
Hmm.
And so I feel like that this is a lower resolution version of that we're gonna see with the Demon King
Oh. Okay. Yes.
because
But
that's
we'll
the
get there.
masculine ability, right?
Not to spoil. Not
Not
to
to spoil,
spoil.
but
Not to spoil.
that's that spirit.
Okay, yeah. And so let's go ahead and continue. That's Dr. Brief. He is a quite complicated character. This is the let's say technological father. And
So yeah, he's basically God in his
he
little cosmic representation, right?
right. And but he's living out the what do I want to say? He's living out that spirit um right of seeking, and he also like he'll play more roles in the story, right?
hmm
He's seeking that truth through innovation and creation. So but let's go ahead and continue. So then Goku and Bluma head up to her room so that she can fix the dragon radar. Remember, that's the whole reason why Goku came here in the first place. She shows him that she can now ride on the Keentone. What do you think about that?
Amazing. How could she possibly do it?
She has invented a microband which can reduce the size of her body,
Of her.
of her. But really it is she can make manifest her spirit unknown.
She can make manifest her spirit unknown.
Are those words in the right order?
I'm not I'm not positive they are.
She can make her
Um
spirit unknown?
she
Is
can,
that
yeah, she can make her her mode of being unknown and sort of, she's not riding on the Kintoon when she shrinks. She rides on Goku. Right.
Mhm.
So Goku's in control, right?
Mhm.
Goku's the pilot, you could say. And so she's not in control, and so
Well, I mean, she does um, determine some things definitely
mhm.
once we get
but
there.
but
But
it's only suggestion.
but the
So
microband allows her to conceal herself
within
from
Goku's garments.
yes. Sure. And so the microband does, she shrinks down, and then immediately after, she is stepped on by her mother, who is wasted.
So her sloshed mom
You can
walks in and
say it, her
steps on her.
sloshed MILF,
The sloshed MILF stumbles in, tray of alcoholic beverages, and steps on her tiny daughter.
and offers Goku some alcohol.
Have some alcohol. Bulma's like, don't give him alcohol.
And she's like, oh, you're just going through a phase. Oh, she's funny. But of course, this is what it would be, right? This female Dionysian
Dionysus, yeah.
spirit, right?
That's what I was gonna say.
Exactly.
The
That
spirits.
is married to the technological innovative
Hmm.
spirit
The
that
Jupiter.
has been able to birth this
Yeah.
Athenian spirit, right? Which
Hmm.
is Bluma.
Exactly.
Right.
And so if you understand how that ties into, let's say, cosmic stories like Genesis,
Yes.
then you know why we can make some sort of statement like Goku's Adam and Bulma's Eve. The evidence is
But the
in
thing
the
is,
world building.
not only that, but the evidence follows. Like we can take the first season and apply that analysis on it, and it's only strengthened through what we see in the show.
Oh, it's great. It gives it such a um
The payoff. It's like okay, see that's the thing.
it gives it a theme, right?
I don't remember. I think it was me and um well
Thinking of names.
one of our friends, one of our mutual friends. I think we were talking about setups and payoffs. This is a setup and payoff.
Oh, absolutely. The Red Ribbon Army is a payoff. This whole saga is a payoff.
Setting up, and this is the best example because it's so formulaic. Setting up the Eye of Agamotto and Doctor Strange to defeat Dormammu. Not a good setup and payoff.
No.
There's no significance behind it. Whereas this payoff of finding out who Blooma's parents are only strengthens that what I was saying earlier, our early analysis.
Oh, absolutely. I've been excited to talk about this aspect of Dr. Brief since I think we started Myth and Meaning. Because
Yes.
as I was gathering pictures, I got a shot from this episode, and it jogged my memory that that was an aspect of him, right? That he had this random garden that he lived, not really lived in, but that he worked in, right? That he kept up with, or that he upkept.
Okay. Excellent. All right. And so she fixes the radar and they are able to go along their way. But before they are. Oh, no, wait. They do go along their way. We pause and we're going to come back. It cuts away.
Hmm.
That's right. So it cuts away to the Red Ribbon Army headquarters where Commander Red is here with Lieutenant. Is it Lieutenant Black? No, it is Staff
Colonel,
Officer Black.
yeah,
Staff
not
Officer
Colonel,
Black.
no.
Um, and Staff Officer Black tells Commander Red that he has prepared Haski, a master thief, to go steal the Dragon Balls from Goku in West City. They've tracked the balls there, and even though Goku has destroyed already 2 units of the Red Ribbon Army, they think that this method of subterfuge will be superior to, let's say, the brute force that he's already exerted upon Goku. Now, they have a little intro for Haski as well, where it shows her like jumping through lasers
Hmm.
and breaking through glass to get to Jules and getting out before anyone ever sees her.
She's so cool,
She's real cool, dude.
man. I was so cool when she did this stuff.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
She did the Mission
And so they're gonna
Impossible
try and steal the Dragon Ball. So I'm curious on what you think about that.
that they're just going
To try and
to
steal them.
take them in the dark. You could say. I mean, it would make sense. They've tried to fight him and seen that he's really powerful. So I wouldn't expect any level of honesty or forthrightness to come from the Red Ribbon Army towards Goku, right? They have seen that they don't know how much of a threat he is, and I think that Red is much more strategic than anyone as a foe that we've seen so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he understands that being a more complex, I guess, representation of the ideas that he sort of embodies, he's aware of his position in regards to what Goku is. He knows that Goku's formidable. So it would make sense to me that Red would say, let's just get the Dragon Balls and not deal with that.
Right. He's not.
I don't think he wants to approach what Goku is.
He's a.
He doesn't want to approach the truth in that sense, right?
Mm-hmm. And I would also like to say that it matches well with the whole theme of these three couple episodes when they're in the city, because the challenges that Goku faces in the city, right, are duplicity, not necessarily physical struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really well embodied in Haski. She is duplicitous right down to her costume, which is basically that of Fist of the North Star, right? It's a callback to that.
Mm.
She's a thief, right? She in this, right? We don't even know her identity. We're pretty kept in the dark by it. I don't think we even know she's a girl until later on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So an agent of duplicity, right? This is the we just saw the foolish version of that in Murasaki. This is like the realized version of deception.
Yeah. This is a an authoritative version of it rather than a foolish version of it. And so I think it's something that poses a different kind of threat as a result, right? This isn't like Shu coming after him.
Right, no. Okay. And so then we are going to go on. So next thing that happens is Haski shows up and recruits these two guys, thugs, to help her hunt down Goku and the Dragon Balls.
Well, doesn't just recruit them. They recognize her, right? We kind of realize that they're also Red Ribbon scum.
Red ribbons. Oh.
So they know who she is, and she's just like, all right, this is the target. Boom, we're doing it. You're with me. And they're
But
like,
they recognize the boy, right? They're
mm-hmm.
like,
And so they understand essentially that they're no match for what he is. And so they've become sort of the henchmen in the same sense that Mai and Shu are the henchmen for Pilaf, right?
mm-hmm.
They immediately form up into this trinity because Dragon Ball really loves to do that.
It's true. Not to say that they are like extrapolations of Haski, but they're more like
The left and right hand.
they're like the left and right hand of the Red Ribbon Army given life through
Mm-hmm.
Haski, let's say, or animated through Haski.
Right.
And so the next thing we see is back in Bulma's house. We see that outside there are some girls that are yelling for Yamcha-san.
It's the Yamcha Fan
It's the
Club.
Yamcha Fan Club. And we figure out this is the tiff that Bulma's mom was talking about earlier, right? That they weren't getting along, Yamcha and Bulma. I don't think we mentioned that.
So
But
I believe what's being implied here is that their tiff is the fact that this is a thing that happens
Yes,
for
basically.
Bulma, and Bulma is calling it a tiff when
It's clearly an issue, don't you think?
we'll see. We'll see how mutual the issue really is, and the culpability of the players involved. But right now, Bulma's tiff seems to be related to all of this. Maybe we're getting the impression right now. Oh, what if he's like cheating on her or something? What if he's not being faithful or honest, right? Because he's getting all this attention from other girls. Maybe he did something, which we obviously know is not true. And so we know from Bulma's behavior here that her character has not necessarily improved.
Well, she's improved, but it's baby steps, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
because her, let's say, vanity and jealousy and arrogance and self-centeredness is all on display here. But I think it helps because she does show a sense of maturity, indicating that now is a good time since she has found herself in a spot to go with Goku and travel into the unknown and try to set things right through that and come back with new wisdom, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
She does say, and we'll get to that later on. So that's the fan club. Yeah. What are they, foreigners or something?
They didn't understand anything I said.
Yes. And then they leave and they go downstairs and they see the cop is just getting fixed up by Dr. Brief.
So we see that he has reestablished order for him, right? He's fixed what's broken. So
Well,
he's
it
sort of
was
this,
already orderly somewhat.
yeah, it's just out of order,
Could be
right?
more orderly.
And so he is optimizing it, right? He's fixing it and making it right, like the correct version of itself. Um, and so we see here him setting it up, and he's like, I think he said that he had some slight issue, nothing major. But just by working on the bike, he's improved much more about it, right?
Right.
Bulma's reaction here, though, is such a it's like the most petulant I think we've seen her act, right?
Well, I mean, that is to say the lack of respect shown towards the fatherly figure, right, is
Exactly.
something that she is doing because she hasn't gone on this journey with Goku, right? She needs to do that to appreciate her parents more, let's say.
Right. And I think that appreciating your parents more could help you to
And they
deal
do
with those
say,
social
because
pressures.
do you think that Mr. and Mrs. Brief are wrong when they say she's going through a rebellious period?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. This is actually great. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, Toriyama or men can't write women,
Hmm.
right? Or like teenagers are hard to write." It's like, no, this is pretty much how they act.
She's 16.
Yeah, she is 16, and that'll
So
be a point later. And this will come to a head. Bulma always gets her reward,
she gets her just desserts.
definitely. And so they get ready to leave, and Bulma shrinks down, and they go to the amusement park.
So she hides herself within the visage of Goku and rides out on the Nimbus.
Yes. And they're going to the amusement park because they have time to kill, right? No. Why do they go to the amusement park besides the filler? I think it's just the filler.
I think they're flying. Actually, they're on their way.
Oh,
Okay.
and then yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. And then Bulma was like, "Let's go." And so Goku goes. And so,
But then they look down and he's like, hey, there's Yamcha. And
oh
so
yes, but
they talk to him about it.
before that, the cop does see Bulma shrink down. He's
Hmm.
amazed by it, right? Because one is not normally able to shrink down the size of one's spirit. This thing keeps messing up. Um, and by that, it's to make her undetectable and able to be clothed, and it's actually something. It's like an advanced skill almost. If you were talking about outside, right? If you're talking about a video game like outside, or let's say Tier Zoo, what Tier Zoo says, right?
Mhm.
Like women would have that ability to seem even more vulnerable than they are, especially because she's a teenager, right? She's like, I'm just developing, and in my most vulnerable and most weakened in character state. That's why she has access to the band right now, and it amazes the officer as it should. And so they take off. The officer,
Yeah,
he
it's like she's showing the strength in her vulnerability, right?
mhm, her the utility in it.
Mhm.
She's learning how to wield her femininity in a positive way, or at least she's experimenting with it. This is probably
Mhm.
not the best way to go about it. But the police officer takes off, and it's curious what you were saying earlier, because I think he, as in Dr. Brief, is so focused on that spirit of innovation. He is more like um John Hammond in that regard, let's say from Jurassic Park, because he didn't stop to think if he shouldn't make this thing go really, really
Mhm.
insanely fast, right? But unlike in Jurassic Park, that scientific tendency to arrogance, right, is really tempered by that female Dionysian spirit that we were talking about earlier. That's why Bulma's mom's great.
Mhm. Yeah,
And not only that, but that harmonious natural relationship that he
right.
has.
Which is it's symbolically saying like the harmony comes from the combination of these things, right? These spirits come together and create a its own walled garden, a harmony that is sort of limitless in a sense, right? You see that it seems like time is sort of flat in Dragon Ball, you know? All of these different things exist
This
at the
all
same
takes
time.
place in the mythological time. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's dinosaurs, but there's also modern things, and so everything's kind of flat. But it's like you could say that this this walled garden, this paradise that he's created stretches back to dinosaurs, right? It reaches that way chronologically, chronos, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
dimension of it is very large. And you can say that this is tried and true to be a I don't want to call it just a recipe, but it's sort of the formula for creating that harmony, right?
Yes. Yes. And so they find, or actually, they see Yamcha. Right. That's what we were.
Yeah, so as they're flying, they look around, they see the big tower. Goku looks down and he sees
Oh yeah. So
Yamcha.
they decide to go to the amusement park to see Yamcha, and
And of course, Bulma wants to hide from Yamcha, but unfortunately, Bulma is not steering right now because she is clothed in Goku.
right, she's accepted the vulnerability to be led by the logos, which is
Hmm.
actually really wise.
Honesty.
I think, and it's that search, and I think that's
Hmm.
why Bulma grows a lot during this arc.
Well, Goku, as the voice of the judge, kind of comes out, right? His judgment of Bulma is what is spoken out from, I mean, ultimately, kind of from Bulma symbolically, you know?
Hmm. And so they go down and talk to Yamcha, and Bulma doesn't want Goku to reveal that she's there, and so Oolong and Puar reveal that they're not the biggest fans of Bulma. They think she's petulant and impatient and vain.
And we have this classic thing that happens here where Yamcha is trying to say a long sentence where he's clarifying a negative at the beginning and then saying but to say something positive about Bulma, but
Yeah,
she can't
while this
stand the
negative thing,
criticism.
yes.
And so she has to reveal herself because her ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
Her
Well, let's say her idealized self of not being a spoiled brat is spoiled by her friends thinking she's a spoiled brat. And so she cannot remain in her vulnerable state to stand up for herself, so she has to reveal herself and grow back large again, and then they all decide to go to
yeah,
the
she has to
amusement
bring
park
the
together.
sort of persona back, right?
Mhm.
And posture and be embodied
Posture
in
is a
that
good
way.
word for it,
Yeah.
yeah. Meanwhile, Haski and the Red Ribbon thugs are watching them from the sidelines, waiting to steal their Dragon Balls. And that's actually where this episode ends.
Yep, just with them discussing. They mention the amusement park. I don't even think it's clear at the end of the episode that they're actually going there, but we see in the next episode that's exactly what they do.
Yes. And poor Yamcha-sama. But yeah. So if you liked what you heard, give us a like and subscribe.
Give us a rumble.
Give us a tumble. We're also on Gumble.
Clungle the lungle bungle.
Give us a subscrungle. All right. So, anyways, to be serious, this is where the episode ends. I think it was somewhat of an impactful episode, especially for containing some parts of filler. It does reveal some things about Bulma, and definitely the beginning parts with Dr. Brief and Mrs. Brief are phenomenal. Not just because it's funny how they act, but it's because how they instantiate themselves in the world, come together and create something larger than their characters reveal. And that's why, even though there's no personal character drama between them, they're pretty well liked, beloved characters.
They're iconic, right?
Right. They're
Because
beyond
they are
just that.
icons in a
Yeah,
sense.
sure. But I think you were totally right in our time, by the way. So I'll go ahead and end it here. Please subscribe and don't forget to subscribe on Rumble.
And subscribe.
See you, Dragon Ballers.